Hey, Cancer. So this month, before we get into it, because I already have something on the tip of my tongue, all information to work with me one-on-one is below. Hours are switching up, so if you've checked before and couldn't do those hours, I will be changing them a little bit, as well as I put out a new podcast episode and Patreon for the extended, which yours already feels heated. So we find yourself here in Gemini season, right before your season. So this month, yeah, I'm just like stretching you may need to relax your brow because you may want to think a lot. So you may need to find a way to relax your brow or do more stretches, perhaps with your face, including smiling. So this month, a few things can happen, and so I'm just going to lay them out before we even get into the cards, but I'm still going to shuffle while I talk. So what we know about you is that sometimes you click with someone, and there's this period of time where you spend so much time with them, right? And that's it. And then all of a sudden, it's like you've never even met and you don't see them like ever again. That could also happen in romantic situations. So I'm just saying, the reason why I'm bringing that up is be wary of that this month. Just be wary of, my apologies, of all this hair twitching. I'm going to stop now. Just be wary of that this month. Anyone who feels like there's someone you can get close to really easy and you don't really know them that well, just be careful. If you do know someone really well, maybe, or someone reminds you of someone you haven't seen in a minute and there's someone you already know very well, maybe you reach out to that person. Maybe, perhaps. But also, maybe you also think about, like, is this person, do they seem like a long-term person, or is this energy just really short lasting, right? You may have gotten a glimpse of that a little bit already because Mars was in Cancer hitting you up. And Venus is still in Cancer right now. So that could also be it. You know, it's like also those like very short-term money-making things. Like if you don't have like a long-term goal and you're just the short-term, it's like that short-term influence, that short-term like moment you have with this person. Because even though they come off like well-intentioned, they could be ill-intended, or they could be going through something, a place where they're stuck. Because if you haven't noticed, people sometimes come to you for this comfort of being able to feel whatever they're feeling. Because if it is something more of the negative vibes, or if you're around them and you're only like trauma bonding, or you know, you click so hard on just like this one thing, you know, they could be around for a while and it's just like that one hobby that brings you together. But you know a lot about moving from the stuckness, right? Like there are certain places where you're extremely skilled at just like maneuvering and learning how to become unstuck and learning how to get through that. Like I always use you as the metaphor of the river, of really going through the rocks in order to make your own way, to provide nourishment, right? Like you're doing it, you have this underlying purpose somewhere. Even if you like don't give a fuck some days, there's still this underlying thing, this motor that keeps you going, and people are attracted to that. And it's Gemini season, you know, like it's time to play, it's time to become attracted to, even more attracted to people, right? So you may notice that the way you come off this month is how you have begun to maybe develop certain relationships, and the dynamics, it's become very obvious to you something you were once in the dark with. It's become glaringly obvious to you. So I would say about the time where we have the new moon in Gemini too, which is on the 18th, but we'll get more into that in the extended. Be more playful. So why not, you know? You'll realize that's what you want to do. That this month turns from what we talked about in the beginning, you know, having people get stuck on you or stuck with you and you feel like you're stuck with them, But the truth is that you're always choosing, right? And sometimes relationship dynamics change. Sometimes you don't see those people as much at certain times, but just notice like what you're going through, right? You know how to nuance. So just notice if that's someone who could be around through the ups and the downs, right? Not when you can't give, when you have nothing left to give, like who's there? Just as importantly as who's there when you're just giving freely. You know, you don't have to get rid of any of these people, you know, don't say that. I'm not saying that, like you don't thrive off of that, but notice, just take notice. And also celebrate yourself. Be very, like the Taurus has not left the building. Taurus is now in Jupiter. You can indulge in things that once made you feel like you couldn't. This month is about letting these things that you have maybe harbored come to light. Maybe they just happen to do it, regardless if you've allowed it, right? So this unfortunate knowledge that you first walk into the season with of like this attachment or this drawing certain people in, you realize that if you're giving away because you just think you're a better person, this is very cardinal, like don't, like this is in the card, this is a theme in the cardinal sign, so don't, just know you're not alone. But you have this tendency to want to overgive or give even charity, or you may not see it that way, but it's kind of like charity, like you're giving these parts of you away, this energy away so freely that people benefit off of it, right? It's like the river, like the river's everything around it is benefiting from it, right? And you're now seeing in the light, in the Gemini light, in the moon cycle. The moon cycle is always important to you because you're ruled by the moon. So I would take notice of your, if there's anything in this region of your body, the front body, the chest, breast, stomach, digestive, if there's any of that that you feel like you've needed to check on for a while, emotional, check it out this month. Might be a good idea. The moon cycle from full to the new, I would say that maybe there's something that you want to be disciplined to during that time. Maybe it's just being aware of what you're attracting, right? Just being aware of what's happening, because Mars has moved into Leo, so it makes it more obvious. It's not like, you know, we went from, oh, perfect. Venus went from Cancer to Leo, right? From the moon to the sun. And so anything that was kind of confusing or just a little bit more murky last month and you weren't sure, just like maybe something or someone you weren't sure of, becomes glaringly obvious to you and you get your answer. So just stay tuned for that. But also it's this remembering that even if someone's energy is so great and you love being around them, no matter what, you're still going to need your time to retreat. You're still going to need to give yourself time. You can't give yourself away, right? We're coming up to your season. It'll be your time and you'll be doing whatever you want, you know? So it's kind of showing you that whatever's hidden, whatever's come from, or whatever you've learned and whatever's come from this space, you can really count on yourself to be given the light, the opportunity, the chance to check on these things, you know, even very naturally, maybe even synchronistically, that you realize that this natural mothering part of you, even though that is natural to you, you need that space right now in order to have more enjoyment, right? You feel like it's your time to enjoy more. Regardless of whatever you go through this month or whatever you're exposed to, this month is meant for you to be in it, having some fun with it, being expressive, right? So Mars is now in Leo. You may want to be even more expressive no matter where Leo hits your chart, wherever it is. You may be assertive in that expression and bright, and you'll feel like you almost feel like the sun is in your sign to an extent, especially towards the end of the month. I would just embrace it, you know, before you go run away, hide in your shell. Like, just embrace it for a moment. Feel that warmth against the softness of what you are, even when you're being assertive and aggressive and wild, you know, like, and creative and just extroverted. Like, embrace the softness of being seen and extroverted by maybe yourself, or maybe it's by whom you surround yourself with in these times where joy becomes an adventure. All right, Cancer? We'll get into the second part. This is a very Cancer reading. And we'll see you in your birthday. Happy birthday. All information to work with me is below.